It was a calm evening in a small town along the banks of the Brahmaputra River in Assam. Children were playing cricket in the narrow lanes, shopkeepers were closing for the day, and families were preparing dinner. The monsoon had been kind so far, a few days of rain, some puddles, nothing unusual. But that night, everything changed. The rain that began as a drizzle turned into a downpour. Hours passed, and the river began to swell silently, powerfully. By midnight, water entered the streets. By dawn, houses were half submerged. The town was drowning. The local authorities immediately sent distress messages to the district administration. Within minutes, India's disaster management network was activated. At the National Disaster Management Authority headquarters in New Delhi, officials received the report. They coordinated with the State Disaster Management Authority and began assessing the situation using data from the Indian Meteorological Department, IMD, and ISRO's satellite images. IMD confirmed it wasn't just rain. A massive low-pressure system had formed over the Bay of Bengal. The region was in danger of continuous rainfall for the next 48 hours. The NDMA quickly declared a Level 3 emergency and directed the National Disaster Response Force, NDRF, to move in. By early morning, the sky thundered not with rain this time, but with the sound of helicopters. Men in bright orange uniforms, the NDRF were airlifted in. They carried inflatable boats, life jackets, food packets, and medical kits. While most people were running away from the flood, these officers were moving straight into it. They rescued families trapped on rooftops, carried children through chest-deep waters, and provided first aid to the injured. Local volunteers joined them. It was humanity in action. Meanwhile, the Central Water Commission monitored nearby dams, ensuring controlled water releases to prevent the situation from worsening downstream. While NDRF handled on-ground operations, the NDMA continued coordinating relief efforts. Using satellite technology from ISRO, they mapped flood-affected regions in real time. The National Remote Sensing Center, NRSC, provided high-resolution images that helped rescue teams navigate safely. At the same time, the Ministry of Home Affairs ensured that neighboring states were ready to send additional rescue teams, while the Ministry of Health prepared mobile medical camps for post-disaster diseases. It wasn't chaos, it was coordination. A web of agencies, each playing its part with precision and dedication. But while floods tested the east, the north was facing its own challenge. In Uttarakhand, an earthquake measuring 6.1 on the Richter scale struck early in the morning. Within 3 minutes, the IMD's Earthquake Monitoring Division detected the tremors and sent reports to the NDMA and the National Crisis Management Committee. The Army, NDRF, and local police were immediately mobilized. Search and rescue dogs, medical experts, and engineers rushed to the spot. Collapsed buildings were scanned for survivors using thermal imaging equipment supplied by the Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO. The coordination between agencies ensured that hundreds of people were rescued within the first few hours, the most critical window in any earthquake disaster. Disaster management doesn't end when the storm passes or the tremors stop. That's just the beginning of rehabilitation and reconstruction. The Public Works Department rebuilt damaged bridges and roads. The Rural Development Ministry ensured housing assistance under government schemes. Medical camps run by state health departments vaccinated thousands to prevent disease outbreaks. Meanwhile, experts from the National Institute of Disaster Management, NIDM, trained local communities in disaster preparedness, teaching them how to respond faster next time. Because every disaster is also a lesson. India has learned that prevention is more powerful than cure. That's why, before every monsoon, mock drills are conducted across the country by NDMA and state agencies. Early warning systems are installed in flood-prone districts. Earthquake-resistant buildings are being encouraged in seismic zones. Even school children are now trained in what to do during earthquakes and floods, because awareness is the first line of defense. Weeks later, as the floodwaters receded, the people of that small Assam town returned to rebuild their lives. Markets reopened, children went back to school. On a cracked wall near the riverbank, someone had painted, "Nature tests us, but we rise again." Behind every life saved and every bridge rebuilt, there stood an invisible army, the NDMA, NDRF, IMD, ISRO, Central Water Commission, and many others, working silently, tirelessly, selflessly. Their combined effort proves that when disaster strikes, India does not just respond, it rises. Because true strength isn't in avoiding storms, it's in standing tall after they pass. This is the story of India's protectors. The government agencies that turn chaos into coordination and tragedy into triumph.